And usually, once we start thinking about deeper questions about our relationship with our lives and our reality and people and the things that have either inspired us or really triggered us in the world, maybe caused us pain, then more clarity will come up on the direction, or maybe a deepening of the thing that I already know I want to create towards. And for most of us in this space, in the journey of consciousness, of awakening, we know that the world is changing. We know that the paradigm is shifting. The world we live in is no longer a frequency match to who we are. From the health system, to the school systems, to even the way we relate with our friends. How many of you have been out with friends and people are just talking about nonsense? Nothing deep, nothing interesting, nothing that moves you. And that shows us how everything in our life is begging for a shift, a transformation, a change. But what is the nature of transformation? It means that we start with something that is a low frequency, that is painful. Anybody here had a not so beautiful upbringing or family life? Maybe there was a lot of conflict or fighting or disharmony or pain, crying. And family is a big thing that is also changing in this age, because most of us have grown up in families that completely lacked harmony, that completely lacked authenticity, that completely lacked connection, that completely lacked this space where all of you feel seen and heard and welcome. So from the simplest thing, the simplest place or container of suffering that is the family, to our work environments, to our schools and our health. Anybody here been to a doctor that completely embodied the opposite of health? I remember a few years ago, I went for a checkup with my blood tests, and it's this old Jordanian doctor, and he's like smoking the cigarette and coughing, and his office smells like smoke. And my mind was just confused. Like, how is this a doctor? How is this a paradigm of health? And so as we look at our world, which is a mirror, we see so many places where this suffering exists. And suffering is not just a child hungry in Africa. Suffering is that doctor's office where the energy is blocked and stagnating and ugly and low frequency. So all those places where we've seen pain are also an invitation for the transformation, because transformation is the alchemy from lower frequency to higher frequency, and everything in our world is currently demanding that transformation. So it's a good question to ask yourself where you have experienced the deepest suffering in your life, the deepest pain, the deepest loneliness. So for me, loneliness was a very deep suffering I experienced in my life. I moved a lot. I was always trying to find my place in a community with friends, with my family. And because I went through that shadow of suffering and loneliness, a big part of the medicine that I received in my own kind of portals of initiation and in my offering to you is community. Because I know how beautiful it is to be in a space where we are actually with each other and receiving each other and feeling heard and seen and can share what we are going through. So the pain of this loneliness created the medicine that I'm now sharing with you. So taking a moment just to reflect, where is your own pain in your life? And maybe it's not something so core and personal, but maybe, for example, for Ihab, my husband, if some of you, probably most of you, watch his content and his videos, one of the deepest pains in his life was the educational system. He hated school. I don't even know why he got a PhD. He hates the educational system. So his whole mission, his whole academy is about creating an alternative educational system. This is what he wishes he learned in school. And he was terrible in school. And he was terrible at the work he got after school, working in Aramex, because it had nothing to do with his truth. So he realized the most important thing in a school system, in a work system, is for your truth to be blossoming. And I'm sure many of you can think of people who are doing the work in the world. And odds are there is a root somewhere, a seed. And Rumi has a beautiful quote. He says, "The wound is the place through which the light shines through." So it stops being this bad thing in our life. It becomes a gift. It becomes a place that was so emotionally charged that this gave life to something new. It's like the relationship between the shadow and the light. For us to walk into the light, we have to have walked through the dark. And maybe it's living in this very masculinized world where we're always doing and always speeding and always just kind of in our minds, in our rational thoughts, that our deeper emotional feminine self never got the opportunity or the invitation to, and that there's a whole paradigm in which the feminine can create a whole world from that place. So where is the pain in your life most present? This is one point to really consider in your own creative process. Maybe you've seen a lot of suffering and pain in the world, and therefore you find a calling in creating beauty, in being the beauty, because women are that. Ihab always tells me, you remind me of the flowers. I was like, oh, you're just so cute. Because to men, to the masculine, the feminine is that. It is the flower of existence, the beauty, the thing that allows us to exit our mind and tune into, wow, we're alive, the mystery. And that's why we're also connected to the moon mysteries. The moon is a very mysterious thing. Completely invisible at times and completely shining at others, just like our own wombs. So we are connected to that frequency of mystery, the seduction of mystery, what makes life interesting and juicy.